Hello and welcome to Word from the Street, and this week we're talking about death on the streets. So stay tuned.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. No matter what.
This morning, the Chief Exec of Homelessness, Rick Henderson, joined a panel on the Victoria Derbyshire show when they were talking about deaths for homeless people on the streets. Last week, a couple of guys died in the Medway area, but it is not a one-off occurrence. This happens on a really regular basis. I was in Birmingham at the end of last year, and while I was there travelling back, there's a guy who died on the streets there. It happens all the time. I've worked with loads of people who have been homeless and living on the streets who have died for all sorts of reasons. Hypothermia, malnutrition. Some of them have burnt. They've been moved into squats out of the cold, lit in fires to keep warm, fallen asleep, and the fires caught hold. Luckily, we've got a fantastic fire brigade service who's used to working with people who live in squats, and they do a great job. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be happening. I can't explain to you what it's like to wake up, as I did, on a frosty cold morning on the streets of London, the snow all around me and on top of me, knowing that there's nothing in front of you. Your future is completely black. No friends or family for support, rejected by a council, living in fear. It's horrendous. But what we can't possibly imagine, you or I, is what it's like for those last days, hours and minutes for someone who does die on the streets, isolated, alone and in fear. It must be an horrendous thing. Do you know, if this was a disease, if homelessness was a disease, we'd all be up in arms. We'd be complaining to Parliament, to the government. Theresa May would be getting emails and letters every single day to change it, to stop it. And do you know what? If it was a disease, we'd have a cure. Because we have a cure for homelessness now. It's called accommodation. There's enough out there. We have enough resources to prevent homelessness and to take people off the streets. Because when people do end up on the streets, and they end up there for a long time, as it was mentioned in the programme, that's where they tend to die. I've had a number of my friends and clients of people that I've worked with who have died over the years. And it's an appalling thing to witness and be a part of. Absolutely horrendous. We've got the severe weather protocols kicked into place at the moment in London, but they're not statutory. They're not mandatory. They don't have to happen. It's local authorities have a choice of whether to put them in place. But what those protocols say is that 3 days of predicted weather below zero, they then have the authority to bring people out of the cold and put them into emergency accommodation. But that should never be happening. There shouldn't be a need for SWEB. There shouldn't be a need for anybody to be living on the streets. There should absolutely not, in this day and age, be anybody dying on our streets. So what can we do about it? Well, you can write to your MP. You can petition your MPs, you can petition the government and tell them to take action. Because as I said, if it was a disease, we'd have a cure. And we have a cure for homelessness. You can support the Homelessness Reduction Bill, which is about prevention, trying stopping people getting onto the streets. But most of all, what you can do is perhaps spare a thought, some time to supporting people who are homeless right now. So listen, that's all from me today. Stay tuned for more in the future. Until then, stay safe.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. No matter what.